Aloha. I wanted to make a quick video in reference to kind of like where I'm coming from and what it really all boils down to. A lot of people everybody sees everything and everybody else from their own eyes, from their own perspective. So it doesn't matter who you are, how nice you are, what you're doing. It doesn't matter at all, because that individual, whoever that is going to see you from their perspective. So when I'm sharing information, or when anybody who is sharing information to expand consciousness, it is to help other people see more depth, see more clearly what's going on here. And when you have the divide and conquer program, the race program, the supremacy program, and when I say supremacy, I'm not referencing the layer of white supremacy that's out there. I'm referencing it started there when I went into these storylines, and that's my whole point, is that you have to go through layers of understanding, and all these layers are valid. They are all credible in their own way because they are part of the story. But as you grow and as you come into more information, you realize that the story is deeper. So the supremacy program is in reference to the divide and conquer as a whole, from the haves and the have-nots, from the so-called leaders and the so-called people in power, and the people who are struggling to maintain their basic human needs. Stuff like race, stuff like Democrats and Republicans, that ain't no different. It's the same thing. When you're talking about when it gets referenced, that individual who's caught up in their own feelings or their own emotions, they need something to hold on to based upon their level of consciousness and their perspective at the time. So a lot of the older generation had to experience a lot of this racial segregation firsthand. They had to experience a lot of things, so the majority of their perspectives are going to be based upon that idea. And then in order to maintain, a lot of the times, in order to maintain that sort of that flow, or whatever it is, it has to link back to a specific storyline. So this is where people get into debates and all this stuff instead of getting into discussions and expanding the consciousness. See, now, like when Dick Gregory or Paul Mooney says something like, white people don't want to be criticized for what their ancestors did, but they sure as hell want to hold on to the profit their ancestors left. See, that's not true. That is very relevant. At the same time, that is only one layer of the story. There are so many other layers that are deeper than that. But for argumentative purposes, people want to get a hold of something and get caught up in their feelings and not focus on the fact that this sentiment exists. And if it were to be known that it exists, then a lot more people will start to look at themselves and look at the entire storyline as a whole and see what we all could be doing and how it could go further into realizing, like, this just that statement alone helps people see the idea of white privilege and the privileged mentality. See, all this stuff exists. And yes, there are deeper storylines. Yes, there are deeper layers you can go. But we have only so much that we can take on at once, to where, and this is where it gets like out of hand a lot of the times. People get caught up in that well, there's only so much we can do, and then they either shut down or they turn into like a prescription drug mentality, which is what the New Age agenda is about. So they say, oh, well, that stuff doesn't exist. It'll change on its own, and those are those people. That's another way to separate. This is why the New Age program is a part of this next agenda, and a part of this psychological manipulation of positive, the idea of positive divide and conquer, as opposed to negative divide and conquer. See, the black and white program, the checker game, hiding the chess game of haves and haves nots. The race program is the old destructive intelligence divide and conquer mentality. The new divide and conquer mentality is the so-called conscious and unconscious. That's what's being played right now. So people who are caught up in whatever, and that exists from the perspective of the so-called conscious people. They choose what they understand to be conscious to be, and then just put everybody else in the other box. And that's what this New Age agenda is going to be about, because they got to sell. It's the same thing when they sell this new world, New Age agenda and their new religion. They're going to say, well, if you're not a part of this religion, then you're unconscious, or you're an outsider, or you're part of the old system, to demonize you and then put themselves up as like, oh, well, this is new, this is great, this is peaceful, this is what it's all about. Don't you want this to happen? Don't you want to be a part of this? Oh, you're talking about that old stuff. This is how it's going to get this is how the ancient storylines, the history, is going to get demonized, because it's already happening like this in the New Age movement. People don't want to talk about the indigenous people. People don't want to talk about stuff like this that's blatantly obvious, because it hurts too much and it sounds controversial, or it cuts too deep. As real as it is, and as limiting as it might seem to come from a perspective of, saying stuff like white people and, referencing that doesn't make it non-existent. That doesn't make it not affecting a large majority of people. You can't expect things to change if you don't look at them a certain way. Just like you can't truly forgive yourself or truly heal. Nobody can do that if their ego has kept them from realizing that they did anything wrong. Nobody can truly heal or forgive themselves if their ego has gotten in the way, gotten so big, and created an actual persona or an actual consciousness that actually doesn't even realize that anything has been done wrong, let alone that they done something wrong. And that's the thing. The blame gets put on the individuals existing today. And this is how people get caught up in their emotions and step out of themselves and into other people's worlds and start to come down on them because of whatever. When I share information like this, and even when Dick Gregory and Paul Mooney and all these other people are sharing stuff like this, they're not sharing this in reference to the individuals of today. If it is, it's to see something. But the origins of what's being spoken about goes back generations. The supremacy program as a whole goes back generations. The colonial program goes back generations. This is why this information is being shared, so we can see that this is how far back it goes and something can be done about it. But if individuals are getting caught up in the moment of, well, you're just and you're just saying, then that's counterproductive. It has to be an expanded storyline and perspective in order to grasp the roots of what's really going on here and how far it's come and where it's going. It's not about black or white. It's not about any of this. When I boil everything down, I'm speaking directly in reference to the separation program. the separation from nature, the separation from spirit, the separation from that which is divine in all of us, the separation from natural law, the separation from the Most High, the separation from each other, the separation from your ancestors, the separation from your guides. That's the separation program that has manipulated us to fall into this military industrial complex, this prison industrial complex, this Stockholm syndrome, droning people, getting caught up in the perspective of never forget 9/11 and all this stuff, and you know, American soldiers dying here, focusing on that, missing the entire point of loss, life loss. Because the focus that's getting put out there for you in the mainstream and the individuals, the so-called powers that be, who are propagating this control grid, who are expanding this separation program inherently beyond the puppets, beyond the puppet strings. Having you focus on what needs to be focused to maintain the illusion, instead of focusing on the actual essence of what's really going on here. So when they tell you it's a war on terror, the numbers and the actual essence of it is a war of terror. But in order to maintain the ego of the decision making of the whole program as a whole, they got to tell you it's a war on terror for your protection. Your freedom is being protected by their security measures, and you'll give away more of your freedom for their security measures. And they'll even lie to you, and you'll ask them to lie to you, because it's too much to get involved in that world. That's how far it's gone. So when you see that there are 5,273 military deaths since 1999, and 128,480 veteran suicides since 1999, do you not see? Do we not see like what's going on here? I'm sharing this video right now because my closest friend I went to high school with was a veteran at the same time. We went in at the same time, and he committed suicide. He was one of them. There's people around. There's probably 0 degrees of separation between somebody who knows. There's always somebody around you who knows a veteran who's committed suicide. And this is every day. Every day this is happening because of this separation program. This is no different than the old kings and queens, the gladiator arena time frame. It's no different. It's the same thing. It's dressed up differently. And the distraction is to get caught up in the mid-level politics and start to fluff your feathers in reference to whatever it is that, we think it is. Instead of realizing the basic nature of it all, people have been separated from their soul expression, from their spirit, and are simultaneously being manipulated into a program that will further separate them and the generations to come. This is what the New Age agenda is about. Under the guise of reconnecting you with something. They're calling it aliens, extraterrestrials, your creators, and all this other shit. It's bogus. It doesn't matter what will happen if these extraterrestrials and aliens come down or whatever, because and do whatever in the future. Because what matters is right now what the individuals who are a part of that community are doing while their brothers and sisters in humanity are being stricken with this disease of separation and mind control. If that community is supposed to be tomorrow's community of what humanity is going to be about, love and light and all that shit, I don't want to be a part of that community. Because that's an extension of the separation program and a half-ass at best expression of humanity. Severing the connections to the ancient indigenous people, claiming to reconnect with spirit and nature and all this other stuff because you go out and do yoga next to a tree or something. It's ridiculous. The military is designed to make everybody the same. This is why they cut your hair. This is why they used to give you a number. Now they give you a microchip. That's why you're walking in cadence. You are the same. You are a number to justify the divide and conquer program that will steal your soul, your life. And when you sign that contract, your life is given away to an idea. The mainstream media, the university system as a whole, the politics, the evolution program, the New Age agenda is to make you all the same. This is what this all love and light and this oneness is, this artificial oneness. It's to make you the same. When there's a beauty in our diversity that doesn't want to be spoken about because there is a power there that exists and a creative intelligence and why that exists that is meaning to be watered down on the so-called positive scale of divide and conquer to control the masses. The power grid has realized that it cannot control the mass population with fear anymore. So if they've realized that, and you know that, then what do you think will happen next? What is the next chapter in the movie? If they can't control individuals with fear and dominance, then what will they mean to control you with? Love and light. This is basic math. This is the script of what is happening. Just as easily as you can see that people get watered down, their souls, their essence, their personalities get watered down when you join the military. This is what pop culture is, the music industry, movies, celebrities, Democrats and Republicans, the entire system as a whole. It's designed to steal your soul essence, your meaning, and your purpose, and lock it into a block structure of dormant experience. It seems innocent to think that, oh, well, there's nothing to be afraid of, with information like ancient aliens. Look at what information has done to the populace today. Look at what the hoarding of information has done to the entire consciousness today. Keeping it from people. Why? because there's gonna come a time when some information gets released and other information will be fabricated to tell the particular story. And if you were privy to all of the information, then you will be a threat to the next agenda. And that's a problem. So when I'm referencing any part of these stories in any of these videos, that's not it. That's not the whole thing. That's just what I can fit in this one little ass video. It's hard enough to sit up here and talk for, like, when I started making videos, it was like 16, 17, 18, 19 minutes. It's like an average of 15 minutes when I first started. And that was difficult. Like, I was breathing hard. Like, it was, my heart was thumping, and I could only get so much out. But now, speaking for a number of minutes, even if I speak for an hour and a half, that's still not enough time to share like everything that I would like to share. Like, I could speak for a lot longer, but there's a definite balance between speaking on particular subjects and bouncing from here and there. And this whole channel has a flow of its own, as if it were a book, a chapter book. So yeah, this story is like, an individual can only do so much, is what I'm saying. And it's really about the information. Like, I'm just sharing. I'm actually opening myself up to questions at the same time. Like, I get a lot of information from people who are subscribed and leave comments and share information, ask questions. That's helping me at the same time, because we're constantly growing. And then I'll interpret it in my own way and then present it however. But ultimately, it really boils down, like, in my space, I'm not blaming white people. I'm not blaming anybody of today. I'm not blaming anything. This is about reconnection. When you reconnect to yourself, to each other, to your spirit, to your culture, when you reconnect, you are not only activating yourself, but you're deactivating the separation program that is designed to keep people disconnected. That's the main thing. So when people approach me from their level of emotional engagement and talk about, oh, well, you know, this is that, they see it from like a black and white perspective. I'm like, first of all, calm your fucking nerves for this moment and realize that you don't know me. You don't know what I know and what I don't know, and everything in that whole world. All you know is what I put out on a little video here and there. This is not a personal thing. If I'm saying something and you take it personal, that's your fault. It got nothing to do with me. And that goes with anybody and everything. Information is information. Reconnecting with our true information is what will help all of us reconnect with ourselves and with spirit and consciousness as a whole. That's my main intention here. And bringing light to the systems that are working against us is part of that. And sometimes it'll be painful. And yes, sometimes it'll be misunderstood. Just like this. There was a time I couldn't even listen to Jiddu Krishnamurti. I couldn't even listen to him because of my own stuff. There was a time I couldn't listen to Dick Gregory or Paul Mooney because of my own stuff. And then once I cleared out most of that, then I can listen to anything and everything, because everything is just information as a whole. I haven't been listening to many YouTube channels here and there, so when people ask me about stuff, like, it's not because I don't or ask me about people, it's not because I don't like not want to listen to people. It's just because when I'm caught up in my own like expression or my own thing, and there's a timing for everything at the same time. There's a time when I was just like all about gathering information and just being in that groove. But I'm in a groove right now of tapping into this information and sharing it from my own perspective. So when I'm in that, there's a focus there that doesn't really allow me to go into any other spaces or any other people's stuff. So like when people ask me about whoever, like Brother Panic, and then Brother Sanchez, people ask me, and I've looked at their stuff, and I'm thankful that these individuals exist, because their stuff is, and this goes for other people too, is very relevant and it's needed for a lot of people. But now, for this moment, I would just want to say I would recommend, if other people want other information to check out, I recommend checking out Brother Sanchez's channel. I think it's Bro Sanchez is his channel name. And see some other perspectives, see some other information. Check it out and see what else is out there. Because I have much respect for his channel now. I just recently checked him out. I seen a while ago, about a month ago or something like that, but never really went into Brother Sanchez's stuff. But he's on point. So yeah, and then people will take their perspectives and think that's that's it, and then miss out on the information, or miss out on the possibility of being able to interpret that information into something relevant and turning into some kind of a paint, and not relevant, but relevant to you, for yourself or for expression purposes, to like be able to paint. There's a beauty in being able to paint with anything that approaches you in your moment. But if you become subject to it, you're basically just closing up your like hiding away your canvas and hiding away your paint, and just being like, oh well, I'm just this. It's a linear, it's just drawing. You're just drawing the outlines of stuff when you're approaching everything from a linear perspective. But once you start painting, you can paint with anything. Anything somebody says, you get the essence out of it. See, the mainstream media, the news, the politics, the university system as a whole, they're delivering lines, straight lines, calling themselves logical and reasonable, saying that that's what your world is all about. And then you're full of this paint because you are the paint of the soul, but you have nowhere to paint, no canvas, nothing to do, nowhere to bounce it off of, nothing. And in fact, that's not even normal to do that. And on top of that, you'll have other people come down on you if you start painting. Oh, what's wrong with you? You're painting all over the place. And you should be drawing straight lines. Like, who the fuck are you to tell me what I should be doing with what I'm doing? So, everybody's doing whatever it is they're supposed to be doing, and then we're all getting better at it by reflecting off of each other. And the more we do it without judgment and without expectation, and just getting the essence out of it and taking the storyline to as deep as it can go, then we'll realize what's really going on here. Once we start taking ownership of these storylines and start seeing how deep this storyline goes, and then take it even further in every moment and realize that it'll never end. You keep finding out more information. You keep expanding yourself. It's a constant process. This is why I have an issue with this whole awake thing. I understand what that means. But I also understand that is also a counterproductive program. In the moment and after a while, it can get counterproductive. In the moment, it can stop people from expanding and looking into other information because you just think you're awake and that's all you need to do. And on the extreme level, individually and collectively, people get to thinking that they're so awake, like in the love and light community, that they just don't do anything anymore. They just wait for another savior or wait for another something. Don't expand anymore. Don't question. And then create another separation program over, well, I'm the awake, and then those are the non-awake. It's no different. It's setting people up to walk right into another control grid. And this one will be painted in unicorns and fairy dust and rainbows and butterflies. And if they can control you with rainbows and butterflies and unicorns, then that's what they'll do. So, yeah, people, I just guess I wanted to share this moment to kind of set the tone of like kind of where I'm coming from, like re-emphasize my foundations, and also share like I'm also learning. I'm still expanding all the time, just like anybody else. This is a learning process for me to be able to do what I'm doing and to also be on this path. So, man, it's a bumpy road, because you have to say some things that are gonna isolate people. It'll isolate people, like, you know, you lose a lot of friends, you lose a lot of acquaintances, and even when you're hanging around people, you're not even a lot of the times really around people. You don't have any. There's things you can't talk about. Like, so that's like not being even present, really. When you can't be your full self, that's difficult. But I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world from what I'm doing right now. Because this is what's needed to be done. This is a part of every part of my soul essence. And if it's helping at least one other person, then that's what it's going to do. That's what I'm going to do. So this is how I paint. So I'll continue to paint like that. And some people going to get some pain in their eyes. When you get some pain in your eyes, it'll burn a little. But as soon as you wipe it out, you can see it wasn't intended to be that way. It gets a little messy. But shit, this story is messy. It's bloody. And it's still going on today. And if you're busy sprinkling around fairy dust and unicorn shit and rainbow dust all over the place, then that's missing on a good majority of the stories that are going on. And as I explained earlier, it's setting other people up and groups of people to walk into the next agenda. Like I said, if they can't control you with fear and destruction anymore, best believe they're going to try to control you with love and light. And instead of locking it into a destructive separation program, they're going to lock you into an idea of creative connection and peace program by telling you we're all one, we're all human, we're all evolved from this. And whether they change the evolution story or lock it into whatever kind of new age program, whatever the new age religion and all that stuff is going to be, it'll be just another version of watering everything down and making you not look at what has happened. Because if you start looking at what has happened and is still happening, then you will start looking for justice. You will start looking for answers. You will start holding individuals accountable for their actions that led up to this moment and that are continuing to expand in this moment right now. And that's what's wants to be missed out, to keep people from looking at, keep you in the checker game and away from the chess game. So I'll leave it there. That's basically what I wanted to share with this video. So thank you for joining me. Until next time, from all my relations, peace, love, and harmony.